This time on Whatever We Want, we talk about
Creed 3. Spoilers major, huge big spoilers ahead. There are time codes down in the description. If you'd like to jump around to different points in the episode, we talk everything from Michael B. Jordan's directing style to why Sylvester Stallone was not in the movie. Enjoy! Welcome back to Whatever We Want. We review content across all mediums and media, movies, TV shows, video games, and beyond to give you the most interesting behind-the-scenes insights, storytelling techniques, all that jazz, and more.
We go over everything from Disney, Star Wars, Marvel, DC. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. All right, Jake, you ready for today?
I'm so ready for today. Are you ready for today?
Yeah, man, I'm ready.
Creed 3 or Threed.
Threed.
As I'm calling it. You saw it last night, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What did you think?
Okay, here's the thing. I'm not really one into these fighting Rocky films, but I feel like every time I watch one, I actually do get really into it.
Really?
When they get into in the fight and all that, I'm dodging left, right. I'm like, yeah, that's a good hit. That's a good hit.
You're too cool for it.
Get that window. I'm saying that shit in my head.
But then you just get sucked into it.
Yeah.
That's funny. I didn't realize, you think that happens not even just on this one, but on other ones too?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, it also depends on the writing too. I don't remember a lot of the Rockies because it's been so long. So I've seen all the other ones except for the first one. The first one I know, but
the second one is basically the first one, but he wins in the end. Spoilers.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So,
it's different. I know.
It's just been so long that I just remember the important bits and pieces, but there's stuff in the middle. It's yeah. So it's like that with those ones. But this one, Threed, was actually I liked it a lot. It was pretty good.
I didn't. You were dreading seeing this leading up to it. You were I was you gonna do Creed 3, and you were I guess I'm not a big fan of these movies. And then after you saw the movie, you were that was really good. And I was I knew you would like it. But yeah, no, I also really liked it. I personally do like the Rocky franchise. I think I watched it when I was older ish. I was a late teen, so I know a lot of people watch it when they were younger because it's a classic, but I kind of never got around to it. So I was I'll watch this. I watched the first one and was hooked instantly, and then binged I think the first 4. What? Oh, haha, right hook. I like where left hook. I get it. I was Captain Hook? What? I think in my mind's on Pirates because we're playing Sea of Thieves later, and I was thinking about that. But yeah, so I just really like the Rocky movies. It's something about the psychology of boxing movies, overcoming the odds. It's usually an underdog story, always an internal conflict externalized through someone you can literally just beat up. I what's not to love. It's a good formula, you know.
Yeah, definitely. But I like the difference in this one because it was. I mean, we still had elements of that of having the determination and will come back and get ready for the fight, do what you need to do, you know.
Training montage, of course.
The main conflict with this one was how to treat somebody that's practically was family, but now they're coming back to get you, you know.
Yeah.
That was such a unique dynamic there.
Yeah, and it was actually I was just reading before we started press record that apparently. Not exactly that reason, but the reason that Sylvester Stallone, which I want to talk about, how he wasn't in this one, this is the only one he's not been in. The reason he wasn't in this one was because, I think partly because he butts heads with one of the longtime Rocky producers. They don't always agree on things. But also, apparently, when he wasn't, some creative differences, he wasn't a huge fan of, the story. Again, this is just some article I read. I don't know how factual the exact reasons are, everything. But apparently, he likes Rocky being more, uplifting and exciting, and he says he feels there's so much negativity in the world. He doesn't want Rocky and that franchise to bring that into it, and he felt this story took Adonis, the lead, into a dark place compared to the Rocky movies and even the past Creed movies, which I think was good, but especially how they executed it. But Sylvester Stallone said he wasn't a big fan of that, when he was reading the script, that Adonis was going to go to a bad place, kind of with his family and stuff like that. I'm assuming is the part he was talking about.
Kind of funny to say that because there's been I don't know the thing with this movie, especially with how it ended, was the perseverance and getting through after doing everything that you needed to do. So that it's not just that I get that you want to stay away from having the tough times or keep away from being dark, I guess, but
yeah,
I feel you needed that in this case because that's life that.
I think that's probably why they split or Rocky didn't or Sylvester Stallone didn't come on is because I think the filmmakers were we need to tell the story this way, and he just didn't agree with that, which I totally understand both sides. I understand that wanting to tell a good story, and I understand Sylvester Stallone this is his baby for the past 6 decades basically.
Yeah,
so I totally get him being protective of it. I also, just before we get into Threed, we were talking about like the Rocky franchise overall. I also like that it takes place in Pennsylvania, in Philly. So that's another point for me. Yeah. So I also, just a disclaimer before we get into like the nitty gritty of Threed, I watched Creed 1 and 2. I was trying to think of like a fun way to say that, like crund. I don't think that works.
Crund and crude.
Right, like I watched, they both came on HBO Max on the 1st, and I binged both of them, and then watched Creed 3 on March 2nd. So they were like fresh in my mind. So I have like a very good view of like how the whole trilogy has played out now. So I want to talk about that when we get into the thick of it. Yeah. Ready to jump in?
Yeah.
It's thick of it. Yeah.
It's funny you say that because, like, also just for clarity, my perspective, I have seen Creed 1, but like honestly, I forget it. And 2, I might have seen it, but I again also forget it. That's the thing too. I feel like I don't remember these movies.
No, that's the thing. Yeah, I also thought I had not seen Creed 2. And then when I was watching Creed 2, I was like, oh no, I definitely have seen this. Like, but like I didn't know if I had just seen parts, but like I was watching the whole thing and I was like, no, I remember like this part, and like, no, I remember this part. And like I got to the end and I was like, I guess I had seen that whole movie because I knew everything in there, but I didn't remember.
This is familiar.
Yeah, it was just a weird way because I thought I was going into it blind, but I was like, no, I know everything.
That's funny because, like, comparatively for like me, like I remember like movies like The Karate Kid more. I don't know why that would be the case because they like systemically kind of are structured the same way with that ideal perseverance
Hero's journey.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, just getting into Creed 3 as like a finale to the trilogy of Creed movies, I think it was very good. Like, it was a good continuation. Like, I think, I don't want to talk about specifics about each character, but I think the characters were very much in line with the last 2 movies. And like overall, like I think Tessa Thompson's character actually had a really cool arc throughout the whole trilogy that was set up like for all the way back in Creed 1 and like carried through to this, which I appreciated because often like I think supporting characters often don't get that treatment. But I think also Michael B. Jordan, the Creed Adonis, had also a good arc, and I'm going to get into all that. But I think just as a whole, this is a good trilogy. And I'm actually curious. I don't think they're going to do like a Creed 4. Just the way they like
Freed.
What? Yeah, they're afraid of a Ford. Like, I think the way they shot that final shot with like Adonis looking at the ring like longingly, like kind of lingered for a while and then like left and it went out of focus. It kind of implied to me at least that like this is going to be the last one.
Here's the thing. I'm never going to say never when it comes to
never
films.
Say never. Speaking of Karate Kid.
Because people want money.
True.
So they'll be like, okay.
Yeah, dude, these make bank and they're made for cheap. Like this one is like one of the most expensive like Rocky franchise movies, and it was only $75 million for the budget, which is like nothing compared to like the freaking blockbusters that Marvel do, like up to like $200 million, $250 million. I think Creed 3 was $75 million budget, and obviously it's like the first weekend, so we don't know how much it's gonna gross or make or whatever. I'll actually look it up right now. What is Creed 3 at?
Well, that's the thing. Like the theater that I went to, it was like empty.
Mine wasn't too filled either, and I went like opening night. It's a 51 million apparently box office as of 3 hours ago, but it's also Saturday, so it's like the second day of opening weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the first Creed was only made for $35 million. That's crazy. Like
That's crazy.
I think it's also a testament to like what the filmmakers are able to do. Like if you have skilled filmmakers with tools, like you don't need like a crazy huge budget to make like a really powerful piece. Like Strange World was 135 to 180 million. That was like the range for Strange World, like the animated movie. And I know apples to oranges with animation and live action, but I don't know. And Rocky 5 was made 25 years ago, and I think it had a bigger budget than Creed 1. So I just thought that was interesting. The original Rocky was made for $1 million, like a little less than $1 million. Like that is crazy.
I kind of wish we'd see films with that kind of budget, like relative to today's money.
I mean, they do have that. They just don't get put on in theaters. Like they don't have a marketing budget, you know.
But no, I mean, like
you mean like the ones that break through like that?
Yeah, ones that would be able to break through. Because
I would say Everything Everywhere All at Once would be like that.
Yeah, true. Like yeah, no, literally, like that's a perfect example of one. Like, what was the budget for that?
It was 14 to 25 million.
Yeah, like that's
which is like low for today. Because like what is? Let me see conversion. 1 million in 1970 today. Yeah, that's about equivalent to 7 million today.
Yeah.
7.8 million today. So yeah, like, dude, that's
a film
crazy.
like that is like, literally like seeing like what they're able to do and like how they're able to have that like leverage the story dependent on the limitations that they have with that.
Yeah.
I think it's actually a very powerful tool in itself.
So they don't have to have like, they can't just throw money at every problem. They have to, like innovate and be creative. I think it's also interesting, just speaking about like the filmmaking behind it, I want to talk about how Michael B. Jordan directed this actually. So he like started, and this was his first movie he directed, his directorial debut, which I think was fantastic. It's also some huge shoes to fill and jump into, because the first Creed was launched by Ryan Coogler, who went on to do Black Panther. So like a very just like impactful and just like good filmmaker. So what did you think of Michael B. Jordan's like directing style?
I think it was done very well, especially when it came to the interactions of how the characters' relations were with the camera. Yeah. And also just, like, there's just a lot of unique shots throughout this. Like, one of the ones I loved the most was, like, when he had him set up for the fight originally. Dame, like, once he finally got the opportunity, he went to the room,
against
they had that one-on-one. And then, like, he went around the wall.
Oh, and then looking at each other?
Yeah, they were looking at each other like that.
I don't remember seeing the trailer. I tried not to look at, I don't look at too many trailers, but I could so see that as, like, one of the hero trailer shots.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just figuring out how to create relationships like that with the characters and then have that evolve. And once you, like, realize, like, what's going on with Dane, like, that was very unique. Also, I kind of love... I don't know how much time happened between him becoming champ to then, like, him getting, like, his own apartment and stuff. But that seemed like a really big jump where he was, like, ground level, like, LA ghetto to, like, getting into, like, oh, I got my own place now. Got my own, like... woman.
Oh, like Adonis or wait, Damien?
Dame, yeah.
Oh. Well, they did. I'm not sure because I think it was weird because I don't know exactly the time jump because I think they said the beginning like cutscene was like 2002, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when they jumped forward and like Creed became like the heavyweight champ, they said that was 20 years later, or like defended his title as his last battle as the heavyweight champ. That was 20 years later.
I said that was 15 years
was
later.
It 15?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Oh, I thought I said 20, and then it jumped another like 3 years. So I was like, "Are we in the future? Is this like a Marvel thing happening right now?" If I could be wrong, I could have missed it. Maybe it was 15, and then maybe like a few years happened because he had been like 3 years, I think they said, off of, like in retirement when he came back to take down Damien.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, there's some time in there. I think it also makes sense like that the jump where he was like a bum to kind of like then have his own LA place because that's kind of what happened. Like he was a bum and then just got this random shot at being the champ. Probably like a lot of money just suddenly came in. But yeah, speaking of the Michael B. Jordan and his filmmaking, I think I read or like heard somewhere that heard this a while ago before the movie came out. But he took inspiration from anime. When he was filming the fights, which I think is really freaking cool.
That's freaking dope.
I mean, I could see that now, especially in the third,
especially with like the following of the punches, and then like the moments where like he had the opening with the arms.
Yeah, and then I really liked how like especially I want to talk about Jonathan Majors, but like Jonathan Majors kept blocking like this, and I didn't really see many of the other boxers doing that too much.
Not only that, but the way he was having his fighting stance with his arms like down and back.
Yeah.
That way he'd be ready.
Because I don't know anything about boxing, but I like that we know that Damien's like an unorthodox fighter, and that was kind of showing it, or at least like kind of cluing me into it. The way it was shot, I think, was done really well. It's like because as someone that doesn't know anything about it, and I still was like, that looks off. Like I think that was good. I think just the whole film. Sorry, I didn't mean to like cut you off there, but
no.
And the whole film, there's like different instances of that, which I think is really difficult for a first-time filmmaker, but like was done really well. Like where like the editing and just like how things were shot didn't hold your hand. Like the case I'm thinking of that you just reminded me about was in like in Damien's first fight against the champ, like when he gets his shot. There's instances where we know exactly what he's thinking, but it's not like an inner monologue, like, I'm going to attack his weak arm. Instead, they zoom in on his face. The sound kind of cuts out so you can tell he's focused. And you see he's looking, his eye line. Then it cuts to a close-up slow-mo of like the arm that's getting iced and like the wince. And like you instantly know, like, okay, that's what he's thinking of right now. And I just really like that. There was cases like that, but that was just one that jumps out. But like the editing there is like so quick, but also just informs the audience of exactly what they need to know without holding your hand. And I just really liked that editing filmmaking technique a lot.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it also was able to emphasize like one of the core points throughout this movie, which was it's not about power. It's also about timing and control.
It's about drive. No, just kidding. Yeah. No, that's another thing. Just sorry, you finish your thought though.
No, so I'm saying that was like a perfect way to like visually emphasize that, and I think that's really well done.
And I think that was a great, again, continuation of the whole Creed trilogy. Was it's not about power and just like blind.
It's not about drive.
I know, about blind rage and power. I think that's what early Adonis, especially like Creed 1, that's where his mentality was. And even in the beginning of this Creed, like the first fight scene, it sets up how Adonis like is taking a beating, but he is like, you keep seeing the slow-mo shots of him like learning the pattern, and then he like strikes after like the third combo and like takes down the guy to like right before his like retirement. Yeah. I just really like that. It's that arc of Adonis in the first Creed and even a bit in the second Creed was very much like kind of reliant on Rocky. Like it like doesn't know how to control his emotions too much. And in this one, it sets up immediately that like, okay, this is a seasoned fighter. He now knows the technique and he deserves this spot. He has earned his place and like isn't just thinking with like his fists and his rage. Like he's actually like has the technique down. I think that was shown very well. Yeah. And that's what ultimately like lets him win in the end too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
I do want to talk about Michael B. Jordan a bit. Yeah. So Jonathan Majors, I want to talk about as well.
Bro was freaking ripped.
Yeah, dude.
He was freaking stonky. Like, there's like, you go to the stock market in New York and the Wall Street, okay? You go up, you see the giant screens with all the little, like, trades and all that. At the very top peak was him, dude. Freaking ripped.
Yeah, dude. I know. I think that we were talking, I forget who was talking to. I hope they filmed some, like, Kang. Yeah, I was talking to you. I said, I hope they filmed some Kang variant when he was that jacked. And I think it'd be funny if like just the way it worked out was Loki season 2, like the really nerdy Kang variant, like just happens to also be like jacked like Damien was in this film. Like that'd be hilarious.
That'd be so funny because then Loki's like, "We got you now," and then out of nowhere it's just like, yeah.
Or like in the season 1 when like that robot like undresses Loki, like maybe Kang gets sent through that system and then like he gets stripped down and everyone's like, what the heck?
Whoa. Oh my god. I will say this, in this movie there's like a lot of back shots. Like and I don't know why, but there's like a lot of like he's
like
got a lot of muscle definition like everywhere. But like I don't know why, but I felt like they were focusing on his back a lot.
Dude, I mean I didn't mind it, honestly. He had a huge back. Might as well shoot that. But yeah, no, I really like just Damien as a character, as like a villain. I think the other two had very strong villains. Like the first one, it was more about the villain maybe wasn't like the physical antagonist wasn't as strong because it was more of a story about Adonis kind of coming to terms with him being Creed's son. So it was more of like an internal thing. And then the final battle was against like the current heavyweight champ. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the second one was more personal because it was Drago. So it was, you said you're not sure if you saw it, so I'm just going to briefly, like Drago was actually in this. He like trains against him.
Yeah, no, I think I remember, as soon as Drago came, I'm like, wait, I might remember that guy.
Yeah.
So you're good.
Yeah, it was Drago. So it was the guy that killed his father, his son, then they fought. So that was like a very personal, strong connection. And then this one, but that was also kind of tied to Rocky. I like how this one was like entirely Adonis and his personal history. Like you mentioned this earlier. I like that it was kind of separate from Rocky. I like how this whole one was kind of separate from Rocky and let Adonis stand on its own. And again, I think that's a good continuation of the second one because in the end of the second one, Rocky, after like Creed wins, like he goes over to the side of the ring to Rocky, and Rocky's like, "Now's your time, kid," and then like kind of walks away as if it's like the last we'll see him, and it was the last we saw him. So that was even kind of like this didn't even feel, having watched all 3 in a row, seeing this one and not seeing Rocky, it didn't really feel that jarring because it seemed like they kind of set that up in the end of the last one. Yeah. So I think that was done very well in my mind.
Agreed. Now that you've reminded me of that moment, agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like a natural transition too from like the Padawan to the Master. So I think it's very fitting that in this one that we saw him Creed as like he might not be in his physical prime, but mentally he's at his peak. Like he is mastered.
Yes, but he did have some stuff he had to overcome though. Like, and I think after he overcame that, he did become like his peak at the end there. But like in the middle there, he had to go through some stuff with like his family and like his mom, and also just coming to terms with like I think he did kind of like, which always happens when you see like an old friend you've been seeing in a while, you kind of like recess back into those days. And we even kind of saw that visualized in the third fight where like he kept viewing him as like the younger kid.
Yeah.
Like Jonathan Majors is the younger version of Damien. Yeah, I really like that. Like I think a true good villain, like we say all the time, is like you can see where they're coming from. I think we can totally understand Damien's like anger towards the world because he was locked up for 18 years, and even towards
Adonis.
Yeah, because
he ran.
Yeah. I think you can definitely see where he's coming from. I think it's interesting though, like if I had like one very small criticism, and this isn't even like a huge criticism, I think it was very top heavy where like we were setting up Creed and Damien, and then like Damien all of a sudden like became bad. Like everyone was like we knew he was gonna be bad, but then all of a sudden Donnie was like, oh shoot, he's bad, and then he was like, I have to be the one to fight him, which like kind of makes sense. But like I think when Damien was like, I'm coming for everything you have, then Donnie was like, oh shoot, now I gotta fight him. Like I don't know like what else Damien was gonna do. Like how was he gonna come for Donnie? You know?
I mean, he could have taken the light heavyweight title somehow. I don't know. Like, he could have... I don't know if he would have been in that weight class, but... could have...
Because I think that was...
their kid, like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, at the beach, like, he was like, I'm coming for everything. And then he punched him. And then Donnie's like, I have to be the one to take him down. Like, I don't know, like, what... Like, I feel like Damien was, like, at his peak. Like, yeah, he obviously, like, took heavyweight championship, like, pretty forcefully, which sucks. But, like... what else was going to happen? Like, I didn't know, like, I would have loved to see maybe like, Damien, like kind of maybe destroying the integrity of like Donnie's gym or something like that, like in a physical way that we can like visualize, or maybe going after his family or something. I don't know if that would have bogged it down, but that was just my only like slight criticism. It felt like we spent a lot of time like setting Damien and Adonis the relationship up, which totally makes sense. But then after, like when Donnie was like, oh shoot, I made a mistake, he was like, I have to fight him instantly. Like that was like his reaction. I don't know. This is again me nitpicking super hard. I was trying to think like if there's anything I would change.
I think it was fine. And the reason why I think it was fine is because it's an intimidation thing at the end of the day. It's Dame being like, you took my life. I'm telling you I'm taking it back.
Yeah.
So at that point, that's what it really was.
Like more of a preemptive strike so he doesn't wait around. I think that does make sense, yeah.
Not even preemptive, it was just making the statement, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not afraid. I'm not gonna be holding up. I'm
not afraid.
I'm doing what I'm gonna do. And I'm telling you, I don't care if you get in my way. I'm gonna do it. That's pretty much what he was saying.
Yeah.
Because he knew, based on what was gonna happen, he knew that Adonis was probably gonna be like, "Hey, I'm gonna fight you." That's why as soon as he went to that news show, he instantly called up because he was new. He was ready. So
it was news. Yeah.
I feel like that was good. I honestly disagree with you that part. I think it was okay for him to be like, I'm going to take everything, because like for him, it's not just taking that heavyweight belt. It's taking the life back and like
I'm not upset at thing. Damien was like, I'm taking everything. Like I'm not upset.
No, you wish that he was going to actually back that up with something else.
Yeah. At least we saw that or something so that we could see the motivation for.
I'm telling you don't need that. That's why I disagree.
Okay.
With.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sold on that. I'm just trying to be like, if I had to, I don't know. But I want to talk about Tessa Thompson a little bit. I thought the
how she hurt her hearing?
What?
How did she lose her hearing in the previous movie?
About in her whole arc was really good because it's set up in the first one. She has the hearing aid, and she's like, when she's introduced, Donnie's like, "What happened to your ear?" And she's like, "I've had this like birth defect, like this birth genetic situation where like." It's slowly deteriorating over time. So like I it's gonna go eventually, but I'm just trying to perform and use it as long as I have it, and that's why I like perform. And that's so she was performing back then and like had this arc, and now in the third one she said like to Jonathan Majors, I think that like her. Like she had like a situation where like I think she damaged it a little more like when she was performing, so now she has to give up performing, and that's really tough for her. And like that comes to a culmination when her and Adonis are like arguing in front of the kid, their kid. She blows up as like, my dreams aren't what they realize, but I've kind of come to terms with that. And I thought that was just a really powerful moment that again stems all the way back to the first one, where we learn that she's like has a ticking clock for her hearing, and that's kind of caught up to her in this one. And seeing how she, what even Jonathan Majors called out, like it's tough to see like other people sing her song kind of thing. I think she had a really good arc, and is a good support for Donnie.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think it was really nice seeing like how. I mean, she was his rock in a way, you know. That's how a good relationship. But no, like that's how it's supposed to be, and like at the end of the day, I feel like the main struggle that she was having with trying to understand what Creed was going through pushed him to finally be able to get to like actually confront that conflict that he had internally with the past. Yeah.
I also like the their daughter. They had the daughter last time in Creed 2, and now she's like older, and seeing how they've adapted with sign language. And I think it's also just interesting. Like, there's so many unique situations you can have when you have like a deaf child, like, and that they show that like they're arguing in front of her, and she can tell that they're arguing just because of their mannerisms, and she's like a little like cautious when they see her, and then they continue the conversation but just in a calmer tone because she can't hear what they're saying, so they can still like kind of talk but a little more calmly. And I think that led to like a powerful moment when they're like arguing, they're heated, then they see her, and then they're like, we can't do this in front of her, even though they're literally doing it in front of her. And I was like, whoa, like that's trippy and cool. Like I thought that was interesting, because like just the framing, because like they're like, we can't do this in front of her, and she's like in between them, out of focus in the background, like, so they are doing it. Like, I thought that was cool.
Agreed. I also like later on, like when Dame came into the house for the first time, he's like, whoa, you got the glass floors. But I was also thinking about like the utility of that too, if you think about it.
Right,
like,
they can sign.
You can't like shout down, but you can like through the floor, you know.
Right.
So it's just interesting about like when you do have a situation like that, but you also have the accessibility like that, like how, like, I don't know why, like, just me, like, solution minded guy, like that would be really nice for a situation like that, so that way you can have an easier way to talk and communicate.
That was really good production design, like informed by the characters and their needs. Definitely agree. And my last character I want to talk about briefly is Drago, honorable mention. Definitely not like a main hitter in this film, but I thought it was cool him being back, and he's kind of like a chill
stunky boy
guy now. Yeah,
same.
As soon as the guy came in and like broke his hand at the party, I knew like Damien set him up to it. And I feel like Donnie should have like thought of that scenario, like, this guy came back into my life and like wants a shot, and now all of a sudden this the guy,
my fighter's gone.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But like I also understand that like maybe Donnie was caught up in like trying to figure out like, oh my gosh, is he okay? Like, can the fight still happen? Like, he's in like coordinator mode, like he's trying to produce the event. So maybe it slipped his mind. But like my first thought was like, Damien did this, and also he doesn't have the insight of like, we know Damien's the villain of this story, so like maybe he still like has this idealized version of Damien in his head. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, but I was like, dude, Damien like definitely did this. All right.
I don't know. I feel like he was probably still in the mindset like idealizing him, especially after he quote unquote saved him. So yeah. What
did you think of the story beat of his mother dying?
I think it was important for that to kind of help him open up, but I also don't know if it was necessary in that case.
Yeah, I agree. I think they set it up well. Like, didn't come out of left field, because at the beginning they were like, oh, you had one stroke, like, so it was kind of, you can kind of see that she was probably gonna die. So he got Spider-Man because now both his parents are dead.
Yeah,
I think it was good to help him and Tessa Thompson like kind of quickly heal like that trauma. Like, they were able to get over the differences and be like, all right, this is what's important and everything. And then that kind of set him back on track. I think that event was good for that. Because I think otherwise it would have taken more time to like heal. This was like kind of a quick movie. It was like 2 hours, I think, like a little over 2 hours.
I thought it was like 2:43 or something like that.
What was it?
Yeah.
No, it's an hour 57. It's under 2 hours.
Okay, so then AMC lied to me then about the showtime running.
Oh.
I googled it. I'm like, okay, what's the? Because you know, I was say like the runtime.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, 2:43. That seems long.
Maybe that's what time it started. If you went to a 2 p.m. showing,
no. I went
freaking trailers now.
I went 5:15, And also, by the way, the trailers. There's the one for Shazam. It seemed like a new one. Bro,
I'm just so not looking forward to Shazam.
No.
Even though it takes place in Philly, that's the only
This is
saving
so
grace.
bad. So bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go into that tangent. It was just.
Yeah, we're talking about a good movie, Daniel. Come on.
Yeah, what were you saying?
What are your thoughts on the training montages?
Traditional.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think it felt a little formulaic, like nothing out of the blue, which was fine.
Yeah.
But like that's where like everything else was like so great in my mind, like the character relationships, the fights. That this was the only thing I was like, okay, like yeah, they did it. You know, not like a bad thing, but like yeah.
No, but like you need to do it, and if you don't, he's gonna lose a fight. You know, so he's doing it.
What if it's a training montage was just him like, I'm retired. He's just like eating Cheetos on the couch.
I will say this: I feel like there's like a lot of retirement. I don't know why, but I feel like they keep on bringing up retirement too much. Like, oh, he's in a retirement.
Yeah, like he's still like very in shape and like in the prime of his life.
Yeah, like he's there, you know. So,
yeah. But yeah, no, I thought it was a little formulaic, except for Minecraft. He was punching trees, Daniel, and I did enjoy that.
Dude, that reminded me of that one video. I don't know if you've seen it of like this. It's like a little Russian girl where she's got like boxer gloves on, and she literally punches down a tree.
Wow. I have not
with her
seen
fist,
that.
dude.
No, I'm not on that corner
It was
of the
freaking
internet.
crazy. Bonker. It wasn't like a big old oak or anything like that. It was like a little, it was like only like about like this big. But like even that,
Dang,
like, dude,
that's impressive
that,
though. Yeah.
Like the width of a head or something like that. Like,
Couldn't
that's
be me.
Crazy.
Maybe Michael B. Jordan saw that, was like, that. We have to do that for Creed. For Threed. Yeah. But yeah, the training montages were like, all right, Jonathan Majors is jacked in them.
Yeah. I feel like the peak of the cinematography was mostly done in the fight.
I agree,
like
and
fight.
I do want to talk about all the fights. I first want to talk about the first fight, or I guess technically like the second fight. I already talked about it earlier, how like the editing in there with like when he was looking at when Jonathan Majors like eyeing up the like hurt arm and stuff.
Yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to mention is I think they also like kind of held back a little bit in a good way. Like they saved their big, crazy anime sweeping camera movements and stuff for the third fight.
Yeah.
I think the third act is obviously like the huge dramatic moment. And so there's like all the anime and like the like when it goes into them, just the two of them, like they have all the crazy techniques, which I loved, which I do want to dive into. But I think the second fight, it wasn't about that. Like this was about Adonis's reaction to Jonathan Majors and the other guy, like the I think it was a Mexican fighter, like their fight. So we weren't like into their heads as deeply as like the big emotional fight at the end. They kind of restrained themselves and pulled back just to show like this isn't the important fight. And then that made the last fight feel that more important because we weren't like in the heads of these fighters in the second fight. That would have felt weird. So I like that pacing and that scaling up to the third fight, and it felt more impactful because of that. I don't know if I explained that well, but yeah.
No. But what I also like about the second fight is that it showed what Dame was willing to do in order to do that, like with him fighting dirty. Yeah. And I liked like the medium to close up shots, like when he did the elbow, or like when he was doing the leg movement there. Like it was something like he can be quick with it, and like he knows what he's doing. Just like reinforcing that from like before, but like again, just like showing like he will like hunt you down.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was really important. And then going into the third fight, it showed like I don't know actually how I felt about that, because I felt like he played a lot better, as in like not as like cheaty.
I think that's good though. I think
I don't know if that's like for his like his honor. Be like, hey, I gotta do this right.
Yeah.
In this case, yeah.
And also, I think it needed to be. And the third act was all about, especially the way it was shot, like the internal conflict between these two fighters. I don't think it should have been about, like Creed has to like overcome this guy fighting dirty. Like that wasn't what it was about. It was about their two struggle between the two of them from when they were kids. And I think if he was fighting dirty, that would have like kind of taken away from it. So I think that was good and intentional. But I'm glad you called that out.
Yeah, I totally agree. With that, I love how within the third fight, all the moments like you talked about before, like when they were seeing each other as kids from when the thing originally happened.
Vanishes away.
Oh. Dude, I love that.
And then all of a sudden,
so
just like time jumped. Like they were just in it for so long, and then like they were like, and now it's the 11th round, or like that was the end of the 11th round. I was like, oh my gosh,
dang!
I kind of wish like we got to see more of it, because it kind of felt like, oh, we just jumped like the whole fight
No,
is over now. But like I
think it was
understand
alright.
why they do it. But like I think it was just jarring for me because again I just seen the last 2 Creed movies, and so I think the final fight is often, and I think this was good that they strayed away from formula, but like the formula has been like they get beat up a lot, like a ton, and then like they summon the courage to get back up and keep going. And I think that this one, it didn't feel like they got beat, either side got beat up as much because we did that time jump. So just because I had seen the last 2 Creed movies, that seemed a little like jarring, but I think it made sense because again, what I just said, it's about the conflict between those two. It's not about can you get up again. It is obviously about that, but that's not like the main thing as much as it was in Creed 1. So
I mean, it just further pushes the ideal of timing and control. You know?
Yeah.
Like they both know that they could have gone like all out at one point to try to get like that quick knockout. But they know as soon as they would do something like that, they're exposing themselves and they'd most likely be taken down. Yeah. So again, it's about that control, about that timing, and that's the thing too. Like we know that they know each other.
It's about timing. It's about control. We stay hungry. That doesn't have the same ring.
No, it doesn't. But no, going back to the moments before where like they were kids and like and all that, like I love the perspective and like the emotion that you got from each side. Like when you're looking from Dane's perspective at Adonis, like you can like almost feel the anger and feel Sith mode.
Yeah.
the anger, the hatred, the like, you know, like just
Other words that mean that.
yeah. Well, when you go from Adonis's perspective, you get the guilt, and then right after that, you get him being like thrown into the ropes, which then turn into like the jail bars, and you're like, oh man, like
that was cool. I liked that a lot.
Like, do I let this like keep me back? Literally keep me back, or do I get myself out and fight forward? So moments like that, I feel like were amazingly not only like choreographed and like shown in the fight, but also like the way that they were literally fighting out of that situation and fighting away from those feelings of guilt and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like that at the end they kind of reconciled after the fight and kind of like seemed to forgive each other. I liked that. I don't know, as cheesy as it might be, I liked it. They got all their frustration out. I also like, so we were mentioning, so you remember how a couple weeks ago we were talking about like filmmakers have their like one thing, obviously they don't have their one thing, but do you think like Michael B. Jordan's thing is going to be like anime inspired fights, or is like does he have something else?
Dude, I'd be down for that, man. Like if he brings more of that energy in.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's I mean, that's what I say this all the time. There's so many things that you could take from animation and bring into live action for when it comes to like movement and choreography. It's one of the reasons why TikTok is doing so well when it started off, because you had all these bimbos, just gonna say it, doing like stupid faces and like moving, but like the way they're moving is rhythmic and like with like the principles of animation. So that's what, well, it's pleasing and it has that appeal because of the principles. So
I think Michael B. Jordan did like a great job, and also I also want to mention, watch anime Rock Paper Scissors on Corridor's channel if you haven't. Anyone watching, it's so fantastic. It just came out. It's like AI.
Have you seen all the
stuff.
Dude
behind the scenes?
There's so much drama about.
Wait, what?
That. Yeah.
Why?
People are shitting on Corridor Crew because they're like, it's okay. Here's
is it because it like took the art of like Demon Slayer kind of, or whatever it's called?
Well, it's that. It's just like animators are like, well, in my opinion, newbie animators are like, wow, thanks Corridor, you're going to be shutting out our business. You know?
Oh my gosh, it's not.
It's so
like
stupid.
Oh my gosh. All right, whatever.
We should get into that one time, but
yeah. But I just want to say, I think if Michael B. Jordan's thing is anime, that's pretty cool. Maybe we can collab because I'm the lava guy, remember? So we can do some lava anime or some lava bending. I don't know. Yeah. But anyways, what else I want to talk about? Creed. Do you think they'll set up like they kind of showed his daughter boxing at the end? Do you think I was
literally just about to ask you that. Do you think they were set up to be a fighter?
I think it would be cool if like the next franchise, even if it's not his daughter, is like a female led Rocky thing. I think that's next, like logically, and I think that would be really cool. A new perspective could open up new. They could dive into like how tough it is for like women in that field and everything, and then to have her overcome Yeah. I mean, I know you haven't seen or like remember most of them, but I want you to rank all 3 Creed movies now.
I don't remember the other ones.
Honestly,
I'm not
fine.
lying.
I'll rank it then. Let me rank it because you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rank all 3 Creed movies, and I think number 1, like Creed 1, is my number 1. Then Creed 3 is my second favorite. It's pretty good, and then Creed 2 is not bad, but just like fell a little flat. In some
The other
areas.
ones are higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I want to go through and rank all the Rockies as well. But I also haven't seen all the Rockies in such a hot minute. I think honestly, Rocky 1's probably actually. Let me start towards the bottom. This is me just chatting out my butt because I don't really remember most of them. I'm gonna say Rocky 5. I think was the worst one in my mind. So Rocky 5's at the bottom. Then Rocky Balboa. Then maybe Creed 2. Honestly, it's not bad, but yeah. Then I'm gonna put Rocky 3. Because with Mr. T, it just kind of got a little cheesy and campy at that point. Then Rocky 4 with Drago, I think is still pretty good. This is tough towards the top. Then this is going bottom to top also. Then Creed 3. Then like Creed and Rocky 2 were kind of like same tier for me, maybe tied for number 2. And then Rocky is number 1.
Okay.
That's my ranking.
Sure, I agree with that.
I need to rewatch them. I don't remember, but whatever. Any final wrap up thoughts for Rocky or Creed 3 for you? What do you give it?
No.
0 to 100 or
0 to 100?
0 to 10 and like your 8 point whatever.
I'm going to give it a 8.1.
8.1? Really? I was going to go higher. I was thinking 8.8. Okay.
It's a good movie. I don't need to watch it again.
Yeah. That brings me to the next segment, Quirky Queries. I wanted to ask, so I saw, I think, the Escape Pod podcast on TikTok. They made a video that's like, when anyone asks like your favorite movie versus the best movie, they're different metrics. And I think we often kind of merge the lines. So I want to ask you, what is your favorite movie versus what do you think is the best movie? So favorite is like, what you would rewatch, you love this movie, not necessarily like a good movie. Best is like, what do you think is like a great movie? Like filmmaking wise, like it's just a solid story, everything encompassed. So favorite versus best. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So which one?
I think my favorite would probably be Spider-Verse. Because
your favorite? Okay. Like that's when you rewatch a ton and just like you love.
Yeah. Like,
yeah. That's a good favorite.
That's because like it touches me like systemically at all the points that hits me as a person. Like I love Spider-Man. He's my favorite character. I love animation. And like this like redefined everything that you could do with that. And this is also 3D animation, which is what I do.
Yeah.
So it goes over like everything. And it's just so great. And I could rewatch it. I'm going to rewatch it till the day I die because it's so darn good. In regards to the best movie, I still like love it for that kind of stuff too. But I'm thinking now in regards of like, how can we take an idea and leverage it into something that opens up to a new kind of experience, right?
You sounds like you're describing Avatar right now.
No, I was actually thinking Inception.
I have that on my list actually for best.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I agree. So I think my favorites, I might list a few here, which is a little cheaty, but I think Revenge of the Sith has got to be up there for my favorites. Again, not always acclaimed as like the best movie, but I will rewatch that till the day I die. And same with Cars, just because of how much I rewatched that one. Honestly, it's not like the best movie, but I just love Cars.
I get that. I can't relate to Cars, but I can understand it.
Yeah, I also have Forrest Gump and The Incredibles on there. But I think Revenge of the Sith and Cars are kind of my list. And then best movie, in my opinion, like filmmaking, story, all encompassing. I mean, Godfather, honorable mention. I haven't seen it yet though. I am talking to someone, and I promised I would wait to watch it with someone, so I have to wait.
So you're talking out of your ass then?
No, but that's just like best like that I've heard. I just want to honorable mention it because I know we'll get hate if we don't. But in my opinion, I actually had Inception, and I think I put Interstellar above Inception.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
That's such a good call out. Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Yeah, you forget. Look how quickly you 180'd. You're like, you're talking out your ass. Then I give a good take. You're like,
well,
you
were when it came to The Godfather.
I know I was, but you didn't let me finish. But now I finished, and Boom.
Does it feel good
Mic
that
drop.
you finished?
It does. Always feels good. Post-nut clarity right now. What am I doing with my life? All right, just kidding. Ready for patron shoutouts?
Yeah, hit me with them.
Keeler Stars Music, Boosh, Patron, Lori, Frank, Rick, Lisa, Evan, Tony. Thank you so much for pledging the tier. Thank you for the shout out. If you'd like to support us over on Patreon, link is down in the description. You get the audio episode early, special benefits, cool personal jazz, and more. Thank you seriously, sincerely. Patron supporters, we really appreciate you. You ready for cool comments?
Yeah, who we got saying stuff this time?
So this is the segment of the show where we read out comments on like our YouTube video episode or like reviews and stuff. Please feel free to leave a comment. Leave a comment this time what your favorite movie is and what you think the best movie is, and or what you thought of Creed 3. But yeah, Zach Henry on our last week's episode, Best First Animated Movie, commented on the pre-banter change. He said, I personally really enjoy pre-banter, so instead of getting rid of it, you could always just move it so it's after the main topic, but I fully understand why you don't like it being at the start of an episode, and I think it's a good idea to just jump straight into the main topic. Thank you, Zach, for the feedback. Appreciate you giving that. I actually was considering doing like post-banter, potentially.
I was always just thinking that.
Because it keeps PB. Maybe we'll consider that. I also didn't mention last week, but we aren't thinking of getting rid of like the news and everything. We were thinking about potentially doing like letting the news kind of build up and maybe doing like a once a month one episode dedicated to just the news of the month potentially. It's just like a workshop idea. So like instead of like doing like 10 minutes of news every week before the main bit of the episode, which is kind of what we did, we just let that build up. So then we do like a full like this month in movie news, this happened, and then that's like the whole episode maybe. Or we could just do post banter. We'll figure it out. We could do post banter, just still call it pre banter for shiggles, confuse people. Anyways,
be like another inside joke, like Back to the Tank.
Back to the Tank, yeah. Ready to jump into the introduction?
Yeah, tell me when.
When?
We just talk about whatever we want to talk about. Now we're done.
Thank you so much for listening. We really sincerely appreciate it. We'll be back next time. I think next week is our like St. Patrick's Day episode, so we should be. I think I got rid of my giant hat from last year just because it was too big for me to store anywhere in this room. So I might have to go buy some more St. Patrick's Day stuff to dress up.
Nice. I have. Hold on.
You still
have
your
still.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, we'll be back next time for St. Patrick's
somewhere.
Day. I'm not sure what we'll do. Maybe we'll do like the best St. Patrick's Day movies or video games or something.
The best drinks to drink on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, we'll just try them all.
On the podcast.
You know what? That's a solid idea. We'll be back maybe for that next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.